is a good time to gather your ingredients and your bowls and your equipment and all that kind of stuff. So if you don't have the recipe right in front of you, I can tell you what you need. You need milk, eggs, vanilla, flour, brown sugar, baking powder, salt, butter, and vegetable oil.
Did you?
And then jam.
Was that posted?
Yes, the recipe.
Yeah.
Yes, but I'll go slow so that we can make sure that everybody has enough time.
Myra,
but if you do have a few minutes now,
the email you got today has the link. If you click on the picture of the flyer,
yeah,
the recipe pops up.
Oh, okay.
but you'll see these donuts. They're so easy to make, really simple. So we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Cool.
And you can do a lot with them. So welcome to everybody who's just coming on.
Okay, we've got a bunch of people there who don't have their cameras on.
Cool. Maybe one more minute and we'll start.
Yep.
I'll wait for your cue, Karen. You can tell me. Well, while we're waiting another minute or two, if you want, you can unmute yourself and say hi. Let us know how your Chanukah is going. Mine is going well. So far, so good.
Okay, well, if anybody has questions for Leah, put them in the chat and I'll read them off to her. So that way we won't have a lot of people interrupting the feed.
Right, and I'm on my phone. So if you see me doing this, it's just because I'm scrolling to see if anybody has any questions or anything, but Karen will help read out the questions. So we're gonna make donuts. We're not gonna make traditional donuts because we're not making yeasted donuts, which would take a little more time and are a little more involved than what I wanted to do. I just wanted to do something really fun and simple with everybody tonight. So we're gonna make mini donut holes. And if you're familiar with like little Italian donuts, I forget what they're called, like bombolini, I think, or Cepola. I might be totally mispronouncing that, so my apologies, but they're similar to that. It's a very easy, quick recipe. And essentially all we're doing is mixing everything together and then frying them. So it's super fun, super easy. And here we go. Let's get started. So we're going to, I know in the recipe it says that you need 2 mixing bowls. I always prefer to use 1 mixing bowl so I don't have to wash a second bowl. So we're just gonna start by measuring the dry ingredients. So we're gonna get 2 cups of flour. So like we mentioned in the challah class, try not to overpack your cup, measuring cup, so that you don't end up with a tough donut. You wanna keep it nice and light in the cup. 2 cups. I got flour all over my counter. Don't be like me. 2, so that's 2 cups of flour. And then we're gonna add in 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. 1, 2. And then 4.5 teaspoons of baking powder. So because this isn't a yeasted recipe, it calls for a lot of baking powder. And that's gonna help it puff up when it hits the oil and make it light and airy. So we want 4.5 teaspoons of baking powder. So, you know, like if you bake cookies, usually it's only about a teaspoon, or a teaspoon and a half, but not this much. Okay, so for everybody who's baking along with me, we have 2 cups of flour in this bowl, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 4.5 teaspoons of baking powder. And then we're gonna add the salt, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. far, so good. Any questions? Nope. Okay, I'm gonna grab a fork and give this a little stir.
Leah, sorry, is it teaspoons of baking powder? 4.5 teaspoons?
Yes, 4.5.
Okay.
Exactly. So just a quick recap in case you don't have the recipe in front of you. I'll just list them again. It's 2 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 4.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/2 a teaspoon of salt. And next we're going to do our liquid ingredients. And we're going to melt our butter. So if you want to make these non-dairy, you can use Earth Balance, margarine. Somebody did recommend something last class, which was non-dairy, and I forget what it was. It wasn't margarine or Earth Balance. It was an alternative. Maybe Karen, you remember. But any other kind of non-dairy thing, if you want to keep it non-dairy, and you can use.
I think it's called Miyakos.
Oh, that's my sister. Hi, Rivka.
Hi. I use it too.
No.
And it's
So Miyakos is great. I started using that also, but somebody else had another
Oh, yeah.
non-dairy product too.
Yeah, hold on, I'll tell you what it is.
Anyway, so I'm gonna melt my butter. So I've got 4 tablespoons right here. I'm gonna put it in my bowl and I'm gonna stick it in the microwave. You can melt it in a saucepan if you'd like, but I'm gonna do it in the microwave.
It's Earth Balance.
Earth Balance? Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what I use too. So I'm gonna step off camera just for a second. I'm gonna stick this in the microwave to melt. Just for 30 seconds. So I wanna show you also, while we're waiting for that, I actually have my oil already set up. So this is a good time for everybody to set up their oil because it actually takes a little bit of time to come to temperature, just like in an oven, it takes a little bit of time to come to temperature, your oil will also. So I have around 5 cups of vegetable oil in here. Really, it depends, the amount that you need really depends on the size of your saucepan. You want about 2 inches of oil. I use vegetable oil. That's a nice frying oil, or you can use canola. You want something with a high smoke point, like grapeseed oil, not olive oil. Do not fry with olive oil. Coconut oil, but I would stay away from that for this purpose. So I'm just using vegetable oil. We want about 2 inches of oil in the pot. And here I have a thermometer. So if you have one, this is a great time to take it out. If you don't have one, I'll show you a good trick to know when your oil is ready, but this is a good time to set it up. So I'm gonna put this back on the stove and I'm gonna turn it on to medium so that we can get that starting to heat up. And now my butter is nice and melted. See, mostly melted. We're gonna let that sit for a minute while I measure out the other liquid ingredients. So that's 4 tablespoons of butter. And we're gonna do 1 cup of milk and 1 egg. So that's 1 cup of milk. If you want it to be like really nice and rich, you can use whole milk. I just used what I have, which is the Kiwi Kids 2%.
Can you use skim milk or no?
You can use skim milk. I mean, it'll be fine. It just won't be like as rich as it would be if you used a milk with a higher fat content. So I'm putting in 1 egg into the milk. And then I'm going to take my fork. I'm going to mix up the egg and the milk together. So we have 1 cup of milk and 1 egg. And then I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So it's a nice amount of vanilla. Oh, I took out the wrong vanilla. Sorry, guys. Let me grab the other one. Just give me 1 second. I have imitation and I have real, and I use the imitation when I don't want the good stuff. But for you, Skokie Valley, I'm going to use the good stuff. So we want 2 teaspoons. 1, 2. We're gonna give that a little stir. So again, we've got the 1 cup of milk, 1 egg, 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And we're gonna mix this in similar to how we would mix a muffin batter. So I'm just gonna stir a little hole in my dry ingredients in the middle, make a little well. And then I'm going to take the milk, pour it in the middle. And then take the butter, start mixing and pour the butter in. There we go, pretty easy. Basically, you've already made donuts if you're baking, if you're up to this point. You see how easy it is? So simple. Just mix. How's everybody doing? Are we on the same page? Am I going a little too fast, too slow?
I
Good.
think you're doing okay.
Okay. So you can see like it's just a really nice, easy, simple batter. So if you're making, it should look kind of like this.
Oh, Leah, we didn't follow the directions properly. We threw all the wet ingredients into the jar.
You know what? It's gonna be totally fine. Like you're gonna see it'll come out delicious and perfect. Don't worry about it.
How many is this going to make? I've got a few children waiting. Do you
Yeah, that's a
double
great
it?
question. No, it makes a lot. I can't remember exactly. I made it a few times over the summer.
Oh,
It
okay.
makes a good amount.
Oh, good.
If you have a lot of children waiting, I would use a smaller size spoon
Okay.
Ah, okay, that's smart. That's good.
so that they can each have a little more.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna move this tripod with my bowl. We're gonna go over. Hello, you can see my whole kitchen. Say hi to my husband. Here we go. We're right next to the stove. You can see that I have the oil over here set up. And I also have a sheet pan over here. You don't need to use a sheet pan. You can use just a regular plate, large plate. This just makes it easy because we're gonna make a lot. I have my cookie scooper, but you can use this. This makes it really easy to drop the donut holes in and they all kind of come out the same size, but you can really use a tablespoon. That should be fine, or a teaspoon or anything. And I have a wooden spoon here because I'm going to show you a trick with a wooden spoon. If you don't have a thermometer, a candy thermometer, I'm going to show you how to tell if the oil is ready with this. But we are still quite a ways away. It's still pretty cool. So I'm going to turn that up and give you a chance to get yourself set up for the donut making part.
How big is your scoop?
Let's see. This is a number, it says 3/4 of an ounce. It's just a regular, it's a number 40. It's just a regular standard size cookie scoop. So I'll show you to scale. Like this is a regular, hold on. Like for example, this is a regular soup spoon.
So it's smaller than an ice cream scoop.
Well, yes, here's an ice cream scoop. I'll show you that. So an ice cream scoop is bigger, about double the size. You definitely want to do it smaller than, I mean, if you like large donut holes, do an ice cream scoop. I like this because it helps release the dough. So it's really super easy. These are also great to have if you're making cookies. So I turn my temperature up to high so that the oil can come up. And in the meantime, does anybody have any questions about anything about this class, about any of our other classes that we've done? No? Okay.
Quiet group tonight.
Quiet group, that's right. So I can tell everybody that next class, we're planning on doing bagels in January we were going to do bagels tonight, but then I couldn't resist the idea of doing donuts for Chanukah. So we're doing donuts tonight instead. And next class, we're going to do bagels. So please join us. It's going to be in about 3 weeks. I don't know if we set a date, right, Karen?
Not, I don't remember. I think,
Yeah,
yeah, but we'll send out an email well in advance.
that's right. So we'll keep you posted.
Okay, Elise asked if it's possible to send a recipe with yeast to avoid a lot of baking powder.
Sure. Totally. If you want to connect with me, Elise, on WhatsApp or Facebook or via email, that if you wait till the end of the class, I'll put my email in the chat box. It's hard for me to do now, but I can send my email and then here, let's see if I can do it now. And then if anybody has any questions or wants any recipes or anything like that, just email me. This year I did something a little different. I made sourdough sufganiyot. They came out fantastic. So if anybody does sourdough, you can get that recipe for me too. There we go. So my email's in the chat. Okay. It's at 220, so it's still pretty slow. My my oil temperature. Sorry, guys. Any other questions? I should have perfected.
Are you going to roll those in sugar, or are you going to stuff them with something?
So I have jam, jelly. So I'm going to do like traditional sufganiyot. I'm going to put jelly on the inside. But yeah, that's a great question. You can do so many different things with them. So it's just like a regular donut. I mean, think about how we had so many different ideas for our challah of different ways to top it or to make it interesting. It's kind of the same thing with sufganiyot. So we can, you can make like a pastry cream. You can buy some Nutella and put that in. Chocolate spread. I love looking, I can see.
Oh,
sorry guys.
okay.
Do you
I
need,
gotta, pardon, go ahead.
do you need special equipment to put the jelly in?
I'll show you what I have. I did buy something this year because I knew I wanted to make a lot of donuts. I bought this.
Oh, cool.
But really, all you need is a pastry tip and a piping bag. So if you have that, I can see I'm sorry, the ladies in the corner, the two who asked about the kids.
Yeah. We don't have.
I know, I can keep on saying everything I'm saying. You're like, ooh.
Oh. We love you. We love you. And we're so excited to be here. We're very inexperienced.
Oh no, that's great. This is it's really easy. We're basically almost done. Like we're just gonna fry them up. You'll see it's so easy.
Okay.
But I'll show you if you want to fill them and you don't have something like this, or a pastry bag with a piping tip, or a Ziploc bag with a piping tip. A piping tip is just something like this that's kind of pointy. I'll show you something else you can do. You could take a straw and push it in to the center, and then take a very small teaspoon and kind of shove the filling inside. It's not going to be quite as, some of the filling will come out. It won't be quite as perfect as if you use something like that, but it definitely works. So I'll show you that too. I'm going to take out a straw, so that'll be ready.
See the corner of the Ziploc bag. The straw. This. Okay. What do you think?
And if you want to be really fancy, something that you can do that's kind of easier with a yeasted donut and a little harder with what we're doing, but you can take a little bit of gelt and kind of stuff it in the middle of your donut.
Yum.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, I see the Goldbergs have a little pastry thing. Very nice.
Well,
great. And then if anybody wants the link for that, for what I have, I just bought it. I'm happy to send that to you as well.
I have like a thing like that to decorate birthday cakes with, like that does icing decoration.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need. That it's the exact same thing. It's just a tip for decorating. Usually those sets come with just a plain tip.
Mhm.
So you want to use the plain tip.
Leah, Melissa asked if you've heard a recipe that works for gluten-free. She knows it's tough for yeasted doughs.
Yeah, so I have seen that kind of floating about on Facebook, but I personally have not tried any. There is a Facebook group called, I think it's called Kosher Me and Gluten Free, and they have all kinds of different recipes, gluten-free recipes. So that would be my first place to check.
Thank you. I'll write it down.
So we're still waiting for the oil to come to temperature. Another thing you can do right now to kind of get ready is if you want to put powdered sugar on your donuts, you can take that out now. You guys see my earrings? I bought them special for you. You see? Okay, so you can take out your powdered sugar and a sieve. So I have my powdered sugar over here, and I have this guy, a little sifter. So that's gonna help me when we're done the donuts to finish them off with a little bit of powdered sugar. If you don't want to fill them, you can also just roll them in cinnamon sugar. That's really delicious. Or what I've done in the past a few times is I've made just a very simple glaze of powdered sugar and a little bit of milk and a little bit of vanilla extract, or sometimes I do a little bit of almond extract. So good. And then when they're cool, you just dip them in the glaze and they're just excellent. So that's really super. Okay, so my oil is almost at temperature. I apologize that it's taking forever. So we want to wait till the oil is at 375. If your oil is colder, your donuts will take longer to fry and they will become greasy. If your oil is hotter, they'll burn. So you want to really, ideally, you want the oil to be between like 360 and 375. So a nice way to check to see if it's ready is to take, if you don't have a thermometer, is to take a wooden spoon and to put the handle in the oil and to see if bubbles appear around the handle. So I'm gonna wait another minute because I know my oil isn't at temperature, but it's almost there. And then I'll show you how that works. The funny thing about oil is that it takes so long to come up to temperature, but once it's there, it keeps on climbing. So you want to make sure that you turn the flame down once it's at 375, so you don't end up with oil at like 400 or 450, which is going to burn your donuts. So it's really kind of a dance of making sure it's hot, turning it down a little bit, turning it up. It's possible if you have, I mean, I use gas. If you have electric, it's possible it might be a little steadier just because it takes it's a little slower. So yeah, but I'm pretty much there. I'll show you. So my thermometer now is reading 370. So I'm going to show you, here's my, you guys see? Let me turn on the light here. So you can see this is my handle, and you can see, can you see the bubbles that are forming around it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see that it's ready to go. We're ready to go. I'm actually going to move this over. I'm going to move this tripod closer so you guys have a better look. Okay, so we're going to fry. So now I can see already it's at 380, so it climbs up really fast once it's ready. So I have my scoop. My oil is hot. I'm going to put it in the dough. You want it to kind of be flat at the top, and I'm going to just release into the oil. And you can put a bunch in there at a time. So just drop, and because they're not like big pizza donuts, you don't really have to, you can do a whole bunch at once. You don't have to hold back. Some people, if you're using like a tablespoon, some people like to dip the tablespoon in the oil in between before you go back and get more dough, because that way it releases a little easier into the pot. See, they just come right out. If you're using a cookie scoop, it's really nice and easy. If you're using a tablespoon, you just have to like plop it out with your finger. But again, keep a watch on that temperature. You don't want it to be too hot. You don't want it to be too cold. Like Goldilocks, has to be just right. And if you're doing it, I hope your house is starting to smell like a donut factory like mine is. It smells so good. You can see they're like they come out in this like such a lovely round shape. Really nice. So we're gonna wait until they're really nice and golden brown. Everybody doing okay with their donuts? Who's baking along with me? So also, if you fry at the right temperature, then you're really not gonna, your donuts are not gonna be so greasy. So even though you're deep frying them, they're not gonna be too oily, which is really nice. Once you see they're starting to get ready, you want them to be like a deep golden brown. Because they're small, they cook really quickly. And also just be careful with the oil. Obviously, it's hot. I don't need to tell you that. See, so like, you can see the color on that. It's like a nice golden brown. So we're gonna start taking them off. So I have a slotted spoon that I use to take them off. Oh, that one exploded a little. I have a slotted spoon, but you can use tongs. Just be careful about fouling oil. And you can, oh, watch out. You can also put them on a rack. I couldn't find a dairy rack to put them on after they're done frying. But that's also a nice way to let them kind of, the oil drip off. So now I have a little bit of space. I'm gonna check my oil temperature. I can turn it up a little bit. I'm gonna put a few more in. How are my South African ladies? How are your donuts?
Oh, they're amazing. They're not too round because we don't have one of those things. But yeah, they're like a little misformed, but they still going to be great.
Yeah.
And
Becky?
I'm doing it in my deep fryer.
Oh, nice. That makes it easy for sure.
Sure. Oh, beautiful. Okay. Look, can you see? Show her. Oh yeah. Here we go.
I don't know if she can see us.
I can't see. I think you've frozen.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to continue taking these out.
Leah, Melissa asked if you could bake these instead of frying them.
Yeah, you know, that's a good question that I should have anticipated and looked up the answer to before the class. You could try. I've never done it. You can try. I know there are, honestly, if I wanted to bake donuts, I would probably specifically look up a recipe for baked donuts. Because these are a little bit like, the batter is very loose. So I don't know that these will form well if you bake them. Although I do know that there are like special molds for baked donuts that you can get. So you can try it. Let us know how it goes. I'm curious.
So the reason I'm intrigued is the ones that normally you bake are more like traditional donuts without the jam inside.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the jam kind, but they're not yeasted. So I almost might think about translating the recipe to gluten-free. I'll let you know if I try any experiments.
Yeah, I'm interested to find out. Well, why not? So we're almost done. So I'm gonna.
There, you haven't put the Nutella or the jam in yet, have you?
No, we haven't done the filling yet. So I'm frying first, and then I think we're almost done frying. That's it, basically. I finished up my whole bowl. But you can see it makes quite a large amount. But you can see how easy it is. Like you're basically just mixing and dropping in oil, which is really straightforward. Kids are going to be so happy tomorrow morning.
Is it a candy thermometer that you're using?
Yeah, it's a candy thermometer. Yeah, exactly.
Leah, how do you like these in comparison to when you make the yeasted kind?
They're just different. Like these are very like airy and crisp, but a regular traditional donut has nice chew to it because it has the yeast and it has the bread flour, and so it's different. It's different. These are nice. It's a really like light and airy donut.
You used all-purpose flour on these?
I used all-purpose flour. Yeah. My last ones came out a little misshapen, but that's okay.
So then what do you do with all of that oil?
So that's a great question. You can reuse frying oil. You can strain it and reuse it. If you choose to do that, I would not use it for something savory. I would stick to something sweet because the oil does take on a tiny bit of the flavor, like not a lot. I mean, I wouldn't deep fry like chicken in this oil, you know. You can also dispose of it. If you're going to dispose of it, make sure that you don't put it down the sink. It'll clog up all your pipes. Put it in like a deli container or a Ziploc, like a double Ziploc or something, and then throw it in the garbage. I put in extra oil into my pot because I knew that we'd be doing this class together. But the last time that I made this, I actually used a lot less oil. So you can really use less. Not about
You don't have to use the 5 cups?
I mean, 5, you can see, like you want to have enough room for the donuts to really move around.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of use your judgment. Like, it also depends on the size of your pot and how many you're making at once. Like, because I have a wide pot here, I can do a lot at once.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a more narrow pot, you could probably get away with a little less oil. You just can't do so many at once.
Would avocado oil work?
Oh, such a good question. I think avocado oil is one of the oils that has this higher smoke point, but before you use it, just confirm that that's correct. I do think that it is one of the oils that is better for frying. So if you want to use a different oil, just check that it's has a higher smoke point, like I mentioned earlier. So yeah, so we're done. Do you see how fast it is? Like you can make donuts basically start to finish in like 40 minutes or less if you start the oil earlier on. So I'm just going to give my hands a little rinse, a little wash, and then I'll show you how I fill them. Okay. Because we put like dairy in them, really you can use any kind of fat like I mentioned earlier, but the dairy really does make them extra tasty. Trying to open my jam. There we go. Okay. I got this little guy. Sorry, I threw in one extra little piece of donut. I couldn't resist. I'm waiting for that to finish. So here I have my little donut filler. And if anybody wants, just email me and I'm happy to send you the link. It was like $7 on Amazon. And it came with all kinds of tips for decorating. So I have my jam, have my little filler. I'm just gonna, so you'll see how easy this is with this little contraption. I'm gonna fill it right up with the jam, but I'll also show you how to do it if you don't have something like this.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna move us so that you guys can see me a little better. I apologize for the camera.
Use this
Give me
one.
1 second.
Yeah, but you've got to make a hole.
Do. So,
Okay,
hold on. I'll put some.
This?
No.
Hi.
I'll put something else, I think.
okay, so I'm gonna show you how I do it. If everybody could just mute themselves for a minute.
Oh, oh.
So I have my little donut. See, got a little extra dough over there. I'm just gonna take this and put it in. You can hear it's nice and crisp. And then just press down a little and kind of move my hand out as I do so. And there you have it, a little jelly sufganiyot, a mini donut hole with jelly. So I'll show you another one. You just kind of smash it in and inject a little bit of the jelly, and that's it. Don't put in too much because it'll start squirting out the other end. I'm going to show you how to do it with a straw. Where is my straw? I don't know, I'll get another one. Okay, and a spoon. So we're going to take the straw, take the spoon. It's kind of the same concept. You just make a hole. So straw itself a little hole in that. And I'm going to take the jam and just kind of push it in. Jam. Here's my tablespoon. Here's my donut with the hole. And just kind of put it in. So it's not like ideal because it really doesn't go all the way in, but the hole helps, and you can make a hole a little bit bigger. It just also takes a little longer, but it's fine. See, perfect. So, and then when you're done, you can just sprinkle a little powdered sugar on them like this. And or you can really fill them with like whatever you can think of, you can fill them with. So get creative. Yeah, let me show you how I sprinkle the sugar. And then I'll open it up and you can see what it looks like on the inside. Oops. Okay. You can see a little jelly mini sufganiyot, and I'm gonna cut it open for you. And you can see it's just like the jelly is like right in there, and it's nice and crisp on the outside, and the inside is nice and cooked. Delicious.
It looks so good.
Yeah, and like I said, you can roll it in cinnamon sugar, would be equally as delicious. When I made them in the summer, I didn't do jelly on the inside because it's the summer, you know. So you could do like any kind cinnamon sugar. You could put a little bit of nutmeg in the cinnamon sugar. That's also really tasty. Yeah, and that's it. So to everybody who baked along with me, well done. Any other questions?
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you so much.
What a treat.
Thank you.
We love it.
Oh,
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for joining me, everybody.
Thank you. That was
Thank you so very much.
Oh, the
I
golfers,
missed the beginning, Karen. We're gonna have a recording of this that we can
Yes,
watch.
yes, I'm recording it and I'm going to post it on our YouTube page, on the Smoky Valley YouTube page.
Great, thank you so much. Those look great. It doesn't really even, for me, it didn't look that hard.
No, it's not hard. You basically just mixing up the dough, frying them, and then filling them if you want. You don't even have to fill them, but it's just like, it's so straightforward. The first time I made them, I was also like, I couldn't believe how easy it was. If you're doing a yeasted thing, there, it's, you know, it's more of a pachka,
Yeah.
but yeah, doing it like this is just so simple.
Now the wooden spoon thing, like,
Yeah.
so you kept your temperature steady because you had a thermometer in there.
Right.
But now what if you're using a wooden spoon? How do you
Yeah.
put it in there?
So no, so what I would do is I would just monitor the oil and make sure that it's not getting too hot. If you see that your donuts are really burning up quickly, make sure you're turning the temperature down, or even turning the stove off for a minute or two, just to let the temperature come down. It's harder to keep it even if you're not using a thermometer. It definitely helps. You don't need it. Once you make it once or twice, or even like after you fry the first few, you'll kind of get the hang of it, and you'll see like how to adjust the temperature. But I would definitely continue to monitor the temperature. Don't let it get too hot. Don't let it get too cold. I saw somebody ask the jelly filler. Do you want me to grab the link here? Let me send it. Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me grab it. Sorry, you're gonna have to.
I saw somebody making jelly donuts, and what they used to fill it was they had one of those squeezable ketchup containers that you get at the Container Store or the hardware store.
Yeah, totally. That's
And
a really great idea.
They brought it home for like a couple bucks. They filled it up with jam, and then they just the end is sharp enough that it inserts, and then they just squeeze the ketchup container.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's really clever. That's great. Basically, you're looking for anything that has that kind of like sharper tip, and you can squeeze. There you go. I just linked to the jelly filler in the comments. I don't know how much it is now. When I bought it, it was about $7, so really not so expensive.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Thanks so much. You have my email in the chat. If you have any questions, I'm accessible. I'll write back.
Thank you
Thanks for
very
joining.
much.
Thank you.
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy
Thanks a lot.
Hanukkah.
You
Thanks,
too.
Leah.
Fun.
Bye. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.